is the Service Hero Show. 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. And today we are actually bringing back one of our service heroes, Jeff Steinberg. Yes, he is back. By popular demand, may I say. He has been busy and he has been serving. He has served actually even our Chemo Buddies for Life community. I am so excited to share with you today something that he was involved with that we aired back in the beginning of December. So we are going to catch up with the little giant.
Tiny giant.
Tiny giant, welcome.
Yes.
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 Yes, the tiny giant. Yes. And we are going to kick it off by saying hello, Ambassador Helene Wilson from our Chemo Buddies for Life. And she is here along with, we are announcing today in the closed group, but I will go ahead and announce it out here publicly. We have a new ambassador of the chat too, a second ambassador that has joined us, and that is Rachel Johnson. I want to welcome you both to the Service Hero Show. And as you both know, we have Jeff is a part of our community. So, we're welcoming one of our own here on the outside.
Hey, Helene.
Out on the public side. So, Jeff, let's talk.
Okay.
So, how has life been treating you since we started this whole shelter in place and stay at home stuff? How has that been for you?
Well, I don't know how many of you guys know, but I also drive Uber and Lyft in between my keynote speaking. So the last time I drove Uber and Lyft was Monday, March the 16th. And I drove from 8 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon and made a grand total of $32.85.
You're talking big stuff there.
That's right. And so my wife said to me, you know what? You can make a lot more money staying at home. So I've kind of stayed at home, and I've been doing some digital interviews and stuff like that. But my life is good. My life is good. My father used to tell me all the time. She used to say, Jeffrey, if it's true that only the good die young, he said, you're going to live forever. So, what can I say?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so yes, I did, because we have honored Jeff before, and I wanted some new pictures that I hadn't even seen. So I went in there snooping, and I found some really cool stuff. And talking of your dad, wanted to, and he's a significant piece of why you're involved with Chemo Buddies for Life, and we'll go into that in a little bit. But when you were talking about Uber and Lyft, I saw this picture, and I'm like, your very first automobile. This is awesome because, yes, many of you may know, but I don't know that everybody knows that you drive with your hook.
Yeah, I have no arms and malformed legs, and I'm a masterpiece in progress.
Yes, you are.
And this arm is, I received this arm back in 2004. It was the first time I had gotten a myo-electric arm. And I never thought I would be bionic at all. Hi, Beverly. Beverly Damiani. In fact, let me tell you a real quick story. Her husband, JR, was the manager of a singing group called the Eastman Quartet out of Pennsylvania, and he was the very first person to invite me to sing on a gospel music stage. And I would sit on his lap in his Cadillac, and I would steer his Cadillac, and he would do the gas and the brake when I was wanting to learn to drive. I love JR very, very much. And he pastored a church for many, many years, and I would sing pretty regularly at his church in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. And he's now retired, but so I get to tell that story. I never get to tell that story to anybody.
I love it. I love it. Now, is this the group or is that another group?
That was my first singing group. In fact, JR used to tell us how bad we were. We were so bad. That group was called the Total Victory Trio.
Total Victory Trio.
Yeah. We weren't very total. There wasn't much victory, and there were 5 of us in the group. So math was not our strong suit.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
In fact, pull that picture up one more time.
Okay,
The guy standing in the back with the glasses, his name is Jeffrey Rudloff, and he and I have been best friends for more than 45 years, and he wrote the song Masterpiece in Progress. Oh. He wrote the song This Land, which is the patriotic song that I sing. Mm-hmm. And he's written, many, many, many of the songs that I have recorded through the years. So we kind of got our start together.
Wow.
We later formed a group called Jeff Steinberg with Wind and Fire. Okay. And Jeff was tall, and we had a red-headed, red-bearded piano player arranger. And so we were called Jeff Steinberg with Wind and Fire. And when they left, the wind blew out the fire, and all you now have is a puff of smoke. That's the group. Yeah, that's the group. That was our one and only trio album.
So it actually was a trio right there.
Yeah. Complete with the squirrel sitting on the arm of the chair.
Oh my goodness. So what year is this? I'm trying to look at the album cover.
The album cover was 1978.
Yeah, I was thinking it had to have been the 70s.
Yeah, 1978.
Wow.
And the picture on the left with the Total Victory Trio was 1973.
Wow. So, okay, you have been performing
for 47 years.
47 years. I love this one. You know, that's a very cool picture.
That's actually the cover picture of the film that we're gonna talk about in a little bit, that I'm hoping to revive.
Okay.
The film is called Tiny Giant.
I love it. Helene is saying she feels so old. No, you're not old.
I'm not going there, Helene. Thank you very much.
Yeah, me either. Because I mean, you know, truth be told, we all remember those days back in the 70s. And
well,
I remember them.
I don't know if any of you remember a guy by the name of Gary S. Paxton. He wrote the Monster Mash.
Oh, yeah, it sounds familiar.
Yeah, they're coming to take me away. Ha ha, hee hee. Oh.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he wrote a song years ago that started out with the line, "You can tell you're getting older when everyone around you is a whole lot younger than you."
Okay.
And I'm starting to really feel the pinch.
The pinch, yeah. You know, I'm just not going to go there. It's all a matter of attitude, guys. And the attitude is we both are having too much fun to feel that, you know. Absolutely. Now, you had a big date and just in the last couple of days, and we actually celebrated it. Yeah, we actually celebrated it with you in our closed group. And yes, Helene is saying, "See, I am older every day."
and aren't you grateful for that?
Yes, I know.
Because the alternative would not be pretty.
Right, you know, and this is where you guys gotta just look at it nuts and bolts, that old age is a privilege. It is a privilege. And, you know, and especially in everything that's going on these days, you know, to have friends and buddies and our health and a place to be. You're in Florida right now. I'm in Southern California. We're on the two different sides of the United States. We have the ability to be visiting right now, eyeball to eyeball, with our buddies and friends. And, it's a good day. It's an excellent day when we can be saying that. So this was the celebration. How many years?
27 years.
27 years. Now, I did not know. Did she actually perform with you?
She is not a singer. She is not a performer. In fact, she tells me all the time, I don't sing. But in fact, she wouldn't even touch a microphone when I first got her on stage, and I kind of helped her to kind of get comfortable with it. And now, when I give it to her, I can't get it back.
I love it.
But she, when we first met, she thought I was conceited, arrogant, and she didn't like me at all. She told me the other day, I'm still conceited, I'm still arrogant, but maybe not so much. And then she said, but you have to have a certain amount of that in order to be able to push forward and to push through, whatever it is you're facing. And I guess she's right about that. True story, when I first proposed to her, we were working on my Tiny Giant CD.
Okay. And
she was a single mom and had been single for a few years. And so I had Jeff and I had a friend of mine and Jim Huckel all at my house that night. So we all had dinner. And knowing that my wife was a coupon shopper because she was a single mom.
Right.
Anybody who knows anything about single parents know that most of the time they don't buy anything unless there's a coupon. So I went into my computer and I designed the Jeff Steinberg marriage proposal coupon.
Oh, how cool.
And it was complete with a fancy frame, and it said, this coupon, when presented, entitles Ellen C. Gurley to one proposal of marriage by Jeffrey D. Steinberg. Oh. Now, everybody knows that every coupon has to have fine print, a disclaimer.
Right.
So in the fine print at the bottom, I put marriage date and time to be set by both parties, ring to be provided when finances permit. I stuck it in an envelope and I put it on her ice cream plate with her dessert and told her that before she could eat her ice cream, she had to open and read aloud what was in the envelope to everybody at the table. Oh. So she opens the envelope and she's looking around like, what's going to bite me, and she pulls out this and she starts reading Jeff Steinberg marriage proposal. And she never got past that point. And she's laughing hysterically. And so I said, look, there's only two answers, yes or yes. And so she went like this, and that's how I proposed marriage to her.
Oh, that's a good story. That's a great story.
Yeah, and we were married the next week at Raleigh Assembly of God. And the night of our wedding, that picture that you see in the lower left, the night of our wedding, I was scheduled to do a concert in the main auditorium of that particular church at 7:00. So at 5:00, we got married in the chapel. At 7:00, we did a concert.
Wow. There you go.
See? Never let a good opportunity for an offering go to waste.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I love it. And let's see. Ellen, you are awesome. Yes, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. She is. Anybody that knows Jeff's wife knows that this woman is just an amazing person. I love this picture. And then
that was taken in California.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was taken in California. And the one on the right was taken at my nephew's bar mitzvah. And my wife had the hat on, and I had already gone into the house. She was parking the car, and when she came to the door and came in the house, everybody in my family turned and looked at her as if to say, "Who is this?" Because she was the only one that had a hat, and the whole outfit that she wore, the total cost of that entire outfit, she dyed the netting off the hat, you know, the whole 9 yards. She had matching gloves, and the whole outfit cost her, I think, was $250 complete. Wow. That was half of what my sisters paid for the cheapest dress they had, you know, for the bar mitzvah. It's like, wow. But everybody stopped and looked to see who she was, and they didn't even hardly recognize her until she kind of, you know, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, you're pretty proud of her.
Oh yeah.
I don't blame you at all. Well, she's an amazing woman. Okay, so I want to do this. I want to share some video while we are together. And the very first one that I want to share is actually the one that you helped, because this is a Service Hero show. And I did date it. It's May the 1st, 2020. And right now there are, you know, circumstances throughout the world that we are all in a unique place in time. We're in a time that a lot of people are feeling isolated and alone because of the fact that we've been told to shelter in place. We've been told to stay at home. They're starting to loosen some of these requirements in some areas. Other areas, they are not yet. It's all a matter of timing. And so the message I find really interesting, the message that we share at the Chemo Buddies for Life, and we're going to be sharing the video that you were involved in, that Skip Thomas, and the two of you, and then MJ's Raven, the three of you were involved in this beautiful video that set off the Giving Tuesday event that we did on December the 3rd, 2019. And as I think about it now, because we are starting to open up within the closed community and within the Buddies Network, some of the people that are feeling isolated and alone right this minute today. So if anybody is feeling this way, come join us, because our mandate within the Chemo Buddies paperwork was that it was not just cancer, it's a focus to cancer. However, those that are isolated and alone due to other health events, you know, it fits under our mandate. And so we have been welcoming in all sorts of people, and, you know, they're loving it. They're loving being a part of the Buddies and everything. And the fact that you were scheduled to come today and we were going to be visiting, I'm thinking it's not an accident, because now we have more and more of the people that have been affected by COVID that are joining us. And so now I'm putting together buddies of people that are, you know, so that they can feel this support and love in the community, and also by having their own buddy.
Nobody should have to deal with these kinds of life struggles alone. And and I will mention this to you. My wife is a chaplain for a hospice home healthcare company. So she goes into people's homes and helps them deal with sometimes their worst crisis and their worst nightmares. But I'm happy to be a part of what you're doing, because nobody should have to face these kinds of struggles alone.
Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us down from the line, guys. I'm going to bring the video up. You're going to get to see Jeff. And I have to just say thank you again for being a part of this, because this was a total last minute thing in many ways, because of the fact we were putting it together, and it's like, oh, you know what? And Jeff comes from big productions where you've been involved in you know, fundraising on stages with Pat Boone and many others of the big names, and here we're doing one on a digital platform, and all of a sudden I'm thinking, wait a minute, we need to have an opening act. And you guys came up at the very last minute and said, yeah, okay, we'll we will do this, and you did, and we're going to share it now. So I'm going to take us down. I'm going to take and bring that up. Let me get this all set up. Guys, I did not go to film school, so yeah, it's always fun. All right. We know that there will be a time that no one has to ever hear you have cancer and then feel afraid, isolated, and alone.
When I was going through chemo, I felt as if nobody understood what I was going through.
We all need a buddy, and people that have cancer need a buddy more than ever.
We're kicking cancer to the curb, and we're doing it through Chemo Buddies for life.
Hold me like the river Jordan, and I will then say to thee, you are my friend. Carry me like you are my mother. Love me like a mother. Will you be there?
Thank you for being here with us and supporting Chemo Buddies for Life. This 36 hours is going to be entertaining. I love everybody participating. Thank you for supporting, and enjoy the entertainment and the heart that went into preparing this event.
So I want to encourage you guys to please either be a buddy or even donate, because every time you donate, it's somebody else getting support through this entire thing.
Hear me, tell me, will you hold me? When wrong, will you scold me? When lost, will you find me?
But they told me I'm meant to be faithful and walk when I'm able and fight to the end, but I'm only human.
I have lost an aunt, I've lost uncles, I've lost my grandparents, and I lost my wife to cancer. And I know how difficult it is to be in a situation to hear those words, you have cancer.
So if you know anyone who's going through this, if you know that they're going through a hard time and you can't be there for them every single second of the day, Chemo Buddies for Life is there for you.
Everyone's taking control of me. Six and the world got a role for me. I'm so confused when you show to me. You'll be there for me. Here enough to bear me.
I just want to cry because most of us think that we're alone. And you know, that was a huge breakthrough and just insight of, you know what? A lot of people know what it's like.
And it's fantastic the two of you have been able to formulate this pair, and I'm hoping that others will kind of take your lead and see the benefit of pairing up.
I am so impressed how this lady took something, cancer of all things, and she turned it into a positive. She found a chemo buddy. During her experience, she was able to find support that way, and now she's passionate about bringing that to others. So please, I know that you know somebody that's struggling with cancer. They shouldn't have to feel like they're going through it alone.
One thing that I think is so great about Chemo Buddies is the community. And through that community, you truly get a lot of support.
It gives hope and healing and a place for people that are going through chemo and cancer to have a support system, and I'm so thankful for it.
Chemo Buddies for Life has brought such opportunities for me to remember my best friend and all the people I've walked the journey with.
Encouraging support, Tamara Hunter, Chemo Buddies for Life.
And so I'm doing my part to pay it forward and be a part here and help them raise funds. So donate now and help us to be able to achieve a great thing, and that is make a difference in somebody's life.
Chemo Buddies for Life means to me unity, strength in numbers, a family to support, grow, love, and be there. So will you be there?
Woo! Let me get the right one. Okay, we are bringing him up. There we go. You know, it's.
I got to tell you how rough I really looked.
You looked, you know, I have to say, when I watch that, I still get teary-eyed because it you know, it how do I put this, Jeff? It didn't matter what you looked like. It was
Oh,
that that you were there, you know, and that everybody showed up, and the people that showed up to share, and many of our buddies are here right now. Erin, I mean, she ran the show along with Carol Brown. The two of them were behind the scenes.
Yeah, Erin and I was the ones that did a lot of the talking, you know,
and
about what I was going to do.
Exactly, and the community piece, and that's the thing that I just really want to say, because even here I was watching the chat with you know, the group, and this is what happens when they all get together. They're checking in on each other. They're constantly checking to see how each other are doing. And when you have people throughout the world, because we have them now in the UK, we've got them in Canada, we've got one of our board members is out of Australia, and you know,
I want to come to Australia.
Yeah, I know. Wouldn't that be fun? I would love it too. We were talking to Dr. Jill about that, one of our newer, you know, members in the community. And
yeah, I'd fit right into a kangaroo's pouch.
I love it. And you know, and thank you, Carol, because you know the thing here, and we're going to go on and talk some more about what your projects are and what you are doing to inspire, because this man, guys, every single time, I've been to quite a few things now where he's been there. I've seen him in action. I've seen him online in action too. And every single time you inspire people, the reaction that they have, like, okay, I am a masterpiece in progress. I can do this. I can, you know, look at Jeff. Jeff is the greatest. I mean, I love it when you start your you know, your funny stuff, all the funny stuff, because it's always amazing when you start that in.
But
and
you see, Tamara, that's your message. That's the message of Chemo Buddies for Life.
Right.
You're a masterpiece in progress.
Yeah,
and
true.
You're not in this alone. Yeah. And it may not be an accident, but the truth of the matter is you can get through it. You can get, you know, and we're a part of that masterpiece, each of us, because we're a part of helping the brush to blend the rough edges and to help showcase the beauty, you know, the bright colors amidst the dark, you know, and that's what that's what your message is, and that's why it resonated. That's one of the reasons it resonated with me.
Yes, and so let's talk about that. We met each other in Florida. I'll never forget it. We were at an event, a very small group of people. We were tables that were in a U, basically. And then we had an opportunity to share what it is that we were doing and what we needed to help get to that next place within whatever our mission, our purpose, our businesses, whatever they were. And I shared about Chemo Buddies for Life and where we were. And guys, this was a little while ago. And so, you know, so much. I'm so proud of where we are going together. And so I shared, and then you had me come over and talk to you. And from that moment on, you've been right there with us. From that very moment, you said, I'm with you, and you have kept your word. You have been with us the whole time. And that has always meant so much to me. And you had a personal reason that, right? Do you want to talk about that?
My father was one of the major factors in the early years of my life, because when he first saw me, born with no arms and mangled, malformed legs, and the doctors weren't even certain I was going to live, my father decided that the doctors were not to tell my mom about my disability until they knew more. And so he made a lot of the major decisions. Well, move ahead many, many years later, I got this call saying that Dad is in the hospital. They don't know what it is, but it's serious. A little while later, they called and said that he has cancer, pancreatic cancer. And he smoked a lot. And Marlboro Reds with a fluid lighter, butane lighter. And I'll never forget it. I left Memphis and literally drove to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, dropped off my 4-year-old son and with his grandparents, and then headed up I-85 and 95 at about the same amount of miles per hour, because I don't think my wheels ever touched the ground. Thank you for flying Lincoln. And I remember distinctly, my father had told me at one point when I spoke to him on the phone, he said, Jeffrey, I know you probably have a lot of questions as to why we made the decisions that we made. Are you going to be coming to Philadelphia anytime soon? And I said, yes, I can be in there in the next day or so. I've got some business there. I really didn't, but I knew I needed to talk to him because they told me that the cancer was pretty serious. That he had 4 weeks to 4 months to live. And I pulled in to the hospital that next morning. And I'll never forget it. I looked at my wife and I said, as I was parking the car, I said, he just died. And she looked at me and she said, how do you know? I said, I can feel it. And we got out of the car, we walked into the hospital, the oncology ward of the hospital in Philadelphia. And my sisters and my mom and my grandmother were all pacing the floor, wringing their hands. And I looked at my sister and she said, 5 minutes ago, right when I was parking the car. Cancer's brutal.
Yeah, it can be.
It's brutal. And it doesn't care what your station in life, and it doesn't care what your talents, and it doesn't care what your financial abilities are. And people shouldn't have to deal with that alone.
No.
You know, I sing in a lot of churches. Beverly will tell you, and in churches, sometimes that's the place where people feel the most isolated, even though that's the place where they're supposed to feel the most love and the most support. Sometimes because people don't know how to deal with unusual circumstance. My disability, I can't tell you the number of people who have patted me on the head and said, you poor thing. You know, the truth is, they don't know what to do with somebody who is in a unique situation. And we need to be able to teach them that just saying, hey, I'm here for you. How can I help? I have a friend of mine who's a mayor of a small town in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, or not in Winston-Salem, but in North Carolina. And he's dealing with cancer. And he's having to have his right arm amputated above the elbow. He called me. We talked. I said, how can I help?
Right.
And he said, Jeff, just by being who you are and your humor and your good, you know, and he said, you've helped me in more than you'll know. And I didn't feel like I had, but, you know, that's the way it is.
Exactly.
You know, we have to do what we can to help people to know that they're not alone in all of this.
Absolutely. Okay, guys. Yes, I am tearing up. It happens. And yes, cancer does not discriminate. You're right, Erin. And be be the example, be love, absolutely. And oh my God, I had happened to me and a good friend walking the dog. I got home that evening and they called. And, you know, thank you for sharing like you did, because the reality of it is that right now, cancer does not discriminate. And those that have been affected by the virus that's out there right now, there's quite a few people that were healthy and fine and doing well, and then all of a sudden they weren't, and all of a sudden they're gone. And there's a lot of people that are dealing with that, or they're sick right now and they're going through and they're feeling lonely. And I have been reaching out to some of these people too, because it's like when you're hearing that someone is feeling lonely, there is no reason for them to be lonely anymore. And that's the message that we are taking out there, because the reality of the truth is that the truth is the truth is the truth. It is what it is. And yet it's like your book. I love your book. I've read it twice now, and it gives me the truth of the matter, in that it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy for your family. It wasn't easy for you. And then you found the masterpiece. You are the masterpiece in progress. We're all a masterpiece in progress. And I love it when you said that basically you show up when someone's struggling. You show up, and your friend, you know, that's having this issue right now, he knows you show up. He knows your message. He knows that you don't, you know, you're out there charming everybody and doing the stuff you do and entertaining everyone, and you show up. And the fact that you do, it inspires so many others to want to do the same thing. And that's what it all is about, is when we are there for each other and sharing the love, like Aaron said, and the things that many, I'm sure, you know, hashtag live, hashtag replay, as you go back, you watch this show and you look at the comments in the chat, if you're here on Facebook, you'll see that people, a community, when you have a community, that is the best thing you can have these days. They have found, and the good news is, the science is proving it, is that when you end the isolation, when you socialize, when you find a buddy, you find that community, not only is the quality of your life better, it actually can help to lengthen your life. It can make you healthier. There's so much involved in that, and that's the good news. And that is where I'm so thrilled to have you be a part of this mission and message, because it seriously is so well, like this. May I say to each of you, thank you for being a buddy to someone and caring for their needs. I appreciate you all. From one of the bud.
You know, Tamara, I'm going to say this one more thing about what you're saying about showing up. When I first started singing with my group, and JR, I will always be grateful to him for what he's done in my life. But at the time, I thought all I wanted to be was a gospel singer. And I didn't know. And several years into my ministry, I was doing an event in Allentown, Pennsylvania for a banker friend of mine, a fundraiser. And I called JR and I invited him. And in he walked that night. This guy that helped me to get my start, he showed up. And he's been doing that in my life off and on through the years. And as my ministry changed and I started to realize that there's a song on my album called The Glove that says, let your faith do the walking, let your spirit do the talking. And that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We're not called to be Christians just to escape this world. We're called to be Christians so that we can support other people who are having difficulty finding the masterpiece that God created for them to be. And that's what I see my role. And I take it to entrepreneurial events like the Mastermind where I first met you. I take it to cruises. I take it to churches. I take it to community events, wherever I can. And then when I see somebody like my friend Michael having to face amputation of his right arm, I pick up the phone and call him and say, how can I help?
Right.
Because that's what we're called to do.
Right.
So,
and a couple of things were mentioned, and we actually have Tiny Giant. Erin had mentioned that she loves that song, and we have that queued up. So we will bring that on before we close, guys. And I want to also say within the community, thank you for sharing what you just shared, Jeff, because it's really interesting how in the last 24, 48 hours, I've had so many conversations with so many people. And one of the things within the community of Chemo Buddies for Life, it's a community, it is a nonprofit, and it's a nonprofit that serves all beliefs or lack of beliefs. Whatever your faith belief is, we support you. Our whole message and mission is to support you to have a community of people that care and love, because love is unconditional. And it doesn't matter what your beliefs are, but we honor your beliefs, all the different beliefs. And I've had that discussion just recently quite a few times. And it's been so wonderful to have the truly people that are like, well, it's okay. I believe this way, you believe that way, and we can be buddies. We can be buddies because the biggest thing here is that we believe in community and in love and having some humor and hope and heart, hugs, a lot of love, and getting together, because cancer doesn't discriminate. Life does not discriminate. And so we don't either. And when we come from a pure place, like what you're sharing right now in your ministry, and how it is that you go out there and how so many do, that is what attracts people to come.
I told you when we first started, I'm in this with you, and you're not going to get rid of me very easily. So, that just is the way it is.
I love it. I love it. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, is I'm queuing up Tiny Giant. Just a second here, because you saw me. I'm doing the best I can. We were talking about it. Jeff asked me before we went live. He goes, "Did you ever see yourself being like, and learning how to do production?" And I'm like, "Nope. Didn't see that one coming, but you know what? I wouldn't change it in any other way." So I'm going to take us down from the line. I'm going to bring this up, and we're going to be entertained by Jeff again on his. This is an original piece.
It was written by a friend of mine for me.
And so we'll talk about it afterwards. Okay, so let me bring that up, and then.
I may not be big and tall, as everyone can see. Actually, I'm rather small. Take a look at me. As you can tell, I'm not so strong, not your average set of bones.
But I have realized all along I am not alone. There's a giant that lives inside of me, a giant that everyone can see. I'm a tiny giant. I'm weak when I am strong. I'm a tiny giant. I'm known all day long. I'm a tiny giant. Tell me, can't you see? He is strong when there's a giant inside of me. How such a great big God can be in such a tiny space will always be a mystery. It's a miracle of grace. There's a giant that lives inside of me, a giant that everyone can see. I'm a tiny giant. I'm weak, but I am strong. I'm a tiny giant. I know it all along. I'm a tiny giant. Tell me, can't you see? He is strong when I am this giant inside of me.
Wow. I love it. And Erin, I know that she's like, oh yeah, I love it. I love it. And Carol, I know you are great with production. In fact, we're going to talk about a little bit about, some upcoming stuff that you're really excited about. Giant Heart. Absolutely. I mean, don't you guys just, I just absolutely adore you, and you know that, Jeff. And I'm so glad you're here with us today and sharing this.
Yeah, we need to do this more often.
Absolutely. We're gonna have you come into the closed group too, because it's just so much fun. All right, so let's talk.
Okay.
You have quite the story. You do, and you went after telling it. I mean, you told it in your book. You were working on some kind of film production, and then it stopped.
Well,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, around 2014, thereabouts, even before that, I had received an email from a young man who said, you don't know us. We are filmmakers, my partner and I. We have read your story. We've looked at everything on the web we could find, and we're so impressed. We'd like to do a film about your life. And I'm thinking, okay, who is this cuckoo? And he gave me a phone number, and it was a New York City phone number. So I called it thinking, okay, it's just one of these, quack things that you get on the internet. I can't tell you how many times I've been offered millions of dollars by some dying person in Africa wanting me to spread the good cheer.
Right.
Yeah. Or wherever. So I called them, and it turned out that he is an independent film producer with his partner. His name is Brandon Leganke, and his partner was Ruben O'Malley, and they were serious. In fact, so serious that they went with us the following year to England for a 2-week period of time and filmed everything we did, including concerts in prisons, school assemblies, all kinds of interviews, the whole 9 yards. And we were going to put together, it was going to be a documentary called Tiny Giant, made as an independent film for the film festivals. And when we got back to the States, they came and attended some of my concerts. They interviewed my wife. They interviewed my mother in Philadelphia. They interviewed my son in North Carolina. Even interviewed my ex-wife. And somehow or other along the way, the around 2000, I don't even remember anymore, the concert, the film got derailed. And we felt like it wasn't going in the direction that we wanted it to go, and it had a bit more negativity than we had hoped for. And they did it deliberately, partly to, quote, add drama. Okay. You know, movies, you know, you got to have a little bit of anticlimax and a little drama in the mix.
Right.
And so, but I felt like we weren't getting where we wanted to be, this overcomer story, this, you know, against the odds type of story that I felt that they had promised. And so it was put on hold for several years, and it never went anywhere. I spoke to Brandon today, and I'm happy to announce that they are going to send me all of the digital footage, all of the video footage that we've given them, everything that's been shot, with a complete letter of freedom for us to do the story the way we felt like it needed to be done. I think Tiny Giant is going to come out. I've got a producer friend of mine in New York, in St. Louis, who believes in me and knows me and cares very much, and she knows how to tell a story. She worked with Steven Spielberg's organization interviewing Holocaust survivors.
Wow.
And she was a telethon producer in St. Louis for the Variety Club telethon years ago. And we became fast friends. And she wants to work with me on this film. And there may be others that we may need help with as far as getting it produced, and then maybe even getting it put out there, whether it's Netflix or whether it's made for TV movie or in the theaters. I don't know. But we just feel like this is a real start again for us.
Yes.
And I'm also working on a book.
Woohoo! Another book. Okay,
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, because I know that the Masterpiece in Progress, I love the book. Cannot say enough things about this particular book, guys. It is, if you guys are readers, and wink wink, we have a new buddy in our community that is a librarian, and there's some exciting things that she and I are talking about books, and I love to read, and this is an amazing read. Okay, so books, let's talk about that, and then we're going to wrap it up, and I'm going to let you give some words of wisdom.
Okay,
everybody's going to want to hear them.
The book I'm working on now, Masterpiece in Progress, is an autobiography.
Right.
That's my story.
Yes.
The book we're working on asks the 5 questions that rarely get asked when you talk about leadership and success. Everybody has a formula for what makes a success. But what we're not doing is asking the right questions. You and I are both friends with a guy by the name of Roger Salam.
Uh-huh.
And Roger Salam, at the very event that you and I met, got up, and one of the things that he said was, the most successful person in life, the greatest leader in life, is not the guy with all the answers, but the guy who knows what questions to ask.
Right. Yes. Yes. Oh, he's amazing. Yes.
And the problem is we're not asking the right questions. I don't need to be told that if you do this, 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 and this, you'll be a success. Because the truth is, if you do this, 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 and this, and this, you might get rich. You might become notable. But notability and fame and fortune doesn't make you a success. It only makes you rich, notable, and famous.
True.
And the guy who gets up on the stage and tells you all this stuff, it doesn't make him a leader. And many times it makes him a boss.
Right.
You have to do this, 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 and this.
Right.
We're not asking the right questions.
I love it. I love it.
And the questions have to do with knowing who you are, what your abilities and limitations are, why you're here, where your limits are, and what kind of a mark you want to leave behind.
Oh.
See, if you don't like who you are, if you think by looking in the mirror and you think God got it all wrong because, oh my goodness, I don't have any arms and I'm 4 feet 6 inches tall and I've got gimpy legs and my life is a mess. If you don't like who you are, there is nobody out there that's going to want what you have to offer or what you have to sell.
Right.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
Because the very first person, the very first thing that you sell is you.
True. That's very true, especially if you're a leader, and you're out there with some kind of a message and everything. In fact, I'm going to take myself down from the line right now. I'm going to let you have center stage for a moment and give us your words of wisdom, a pearl nugget.
Before you do that, Tamara, you're a perfect example of my story. Because when I committed to be a part of Chemo Buddies for Life, it wasn't just because of your message. It was because of your heart. I saw that here was a person who understood. And while she may not have felt like she was the front man for it, the fact is, you stepped up and said, I can help. And you put your heart and soul in it. I wouldn't have committed to just a program. I had to commit to a person. And that's why I'm involved with this. That being said, let me tell you, for all of you that are listening, and you can pull yourself down or stay in there, I don't care. But for all of you that are listening, all the excuses aside, I get to the part where it says, what are my limits and my boundaries? And I have to remind people all the time, my limitations, I can't walk very well. I don't have any arms. I'll never be a basketball player, even though I've been called hook shot. I'll never be able to dress myself. My limitations are the things I cannot do. But my limits are the things I will not do. I know what I'm capable of, but I also know how far I am allowed to go. Excuses won't get you there. You got to know who you are. Everybody's got a story to tell. Most of us don't like our story because I'm too tall, I'm too short, my ears stick out, my nose is too big, I've got freckles, I've got zits. You got to know what your abilities are. And in recognizing not only your abilities, you have to accept that there are disabilities and limitations. And then you got to know why you're here. Why are you here? That's what the guy asked me at the prison in England. And I said, I'm here to tell you that you can go back to your 12 by 12 cell, look in the mirror above the metal sink next to the metal toilet in your 12 by 12 cell and see redemption. See a masterpiece and not a criminal. You got to know your limits, and you got to know what kind of a mark you want to leave behind you when it's all said and done. That same prisoner 5 years later, after having interacted with me, after having made a commitment, became a pastor in Nigeria 5 years later. Every one of us leaves a mark. And the question is, what are you going to do with it? Chemo Buddies for Life is committed, Tamara is committed to making sure that nobody goes through chemo, nobody goes through COVID, nobody goes through these kinds of disasters alone. It's one thing to want to be alone. It's another thing to being lonely. You got to know you're a masterpiece in progress. And as long as Tamara and Aaron and Jeff Steinberg and others and Chemo Buddies for Life are there around, as long as we're there, you're never going to be alone.
Wow. Okay, thank you. And that story of the prisoner, the inmate, and how impactful. I know that you impacted many, and Skip is here, one of your fellow singers from the
Hey, Skip.
that actually, you know, is also a documentary producer, director, and videographer, and you know, pardon?
I said, Skip, call me. I need help.
Yeah, Skip. I don't know if you've been there the whole time, but he was talking about. You'll have to watch it. You watch it and replay, and then yes, you guys get together. This is what it's all about, guys. Is when you have community, when you have people that are here for you, because it's about you, and it's about you, and it's about Aaron, and it's about Carol, and it's about Helene and Jeff, and all the people throughout the world that are, and I love that. You can be alone if you choose to be. However, if you are feeling lonely, you don't have to, and come and share with us, because we know how to have some fun, and we share a lot of love. And so as we close, Jeff, I just want to say again how amazing you are, because today I was singing to myself in the song Camelot, you know, it's May, you know, it's like, oh, it's the first day of May, it's May. And so on the very first day of May 1st, 2020, the Service Hero Show, 365 days of awesome, celebrate success through service. Jeff Steinberg, you are a service hero. We've established it again. You serve so many people. You continue to, and I am so thrilled to hear that your story is going to be told in film. This is going to inspire that many more. And with, like the story you just shared, the gentleman in the United Kingdom, that you spent time with him as a service hero, and now he's out there serving others, being a service hero, and that's how it works.
That's the way it
One
works.
domino, and then another, and then we will change the dynamics of the world, one buddy at a time, one person at a time, one service hero at a time. So thank you for all that you do. Thank you for being a part of our community, and thank you for today, sharing with us and entertaining us too. It was wonderful. It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, it's TGIF Friday in the closed community group, and tonight we have a couple of our guests coming with us, some of the buddies. We have Heather Dye and we have Kelly Kelly. What is Kelly's last name, Aaron? She's one of our newer bullies.
I know her. Kelly, what's her name?
Yes. Let me just tell you, she's the queen of manifestation is what she is. And you guys are going to be loving the two of them, Heather and Kelly. That's the way I'm looking at it. It is going to be fun. So if anybody wants to be a part of the Chemo Buddies for Life community, come over to the Chemo Buddies for Life page. It's for Life page, and ask to join the closed group, the community, and you'll be able to join us this night at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. See you there. Bye.
Okay.